The shoulder patch, worn on an Army uniform, is important to soldiers and veterans because each of those colorful patches has a history behind it. When you become part of a military unit, you become part of its story, part of the history behind the patch. Hi, I'm Jim Bromley, and this is the Roving Historian channel. The U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division Air Assault is nicknamed the Screamin' Eagles. Home based at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, they are the Army's only dedicated air assault division. The Screamin' Eagles are most famous for their storied performance during World War II, but this video is a short history of the 101st Airborne in the Vietnam War. In the 11 years after World War II, the 101st Airborne was deactivated and reactivated 3 times. Finally, in 1956, the division was back in the regular Army and at its permanent home of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. In 1958, the U.S. Army formed the Strategic Army Corps, or STRAC. The STRAC divisions were given the mission of rapid deployment on short notice. The Screamin' Eagles was designated as one of these divisions. Another notable event during this period was the 101st Airborne's deployment to Little Rock, Arkansas in September of 1957 to assist in maintaining order during a series of civil disturbances. The unrest was the result of the integration of Central High School in Little Rock. This was a major event in the quest for racial equality, and the professionalism of the troops of the 101st Airborne prevented possible tragedy. The 1st Brigade of the 101st Airborne Division was deployed to Cam Ranh Bay, Vietnam on July 29, 1965. They were the 3rd United States Army unit to arrive in country. Used as a fire brigade, moving to a new area when and where they were needed, they served all over South Vietnam from the DMZ to the Central Highlands. In May of 1967, the brigade was attached to Task Force Oregon, an ad hoc division that would later be designated as the Americal Division. The remainder of the 101st Airborne Division deployed to Vietnam in December of 1967, and its 1st Brigade rejoined the division. This occurred just before the Tet Offensive of January 1968. During Tet, the Screamin' Eagles were engaged in combat operations as far south as Saigon and as far north as Quang Tri. One platoon of the 2nd Brigade landed on the roof of the United States Embassy in Saigon, which was under attack by the Viet Cong. During the early days of Vietnam, the division made its transition from parachutes to helicopters as the method of insertion. In July 1968, the division changed its name to the 101st Air Cavalry Division. The next year, on August 29, 1969, the division changed its name again to the 101st Airborne Division Air Mobile, making it the Army's 2nd Air Mobile Division, the 1st being the 1st Cavalry Division. During almost 7 years in Vietnam, the 101st Airborne participated in 15 campaigns. Most notable were Hamburger Hill in 1969 and Firebase Ripcord in 1970. The division served in the northern I Corps area of operations against NVA infiltration routes through Laos and the A Shau Valley. The division supported the ARVN Operation Lam Song 719, which involved invading southern Laos in 1971, but only American aviation units were allowed to enter Laos. During Vietnam, 17 Medal of Honor awards were given to members of the division. The Screamin' Eagles suffered 4,011 soldiers killed in action during Vietnam, which is twice the number of casualties from World War II. The 101st was the last American division headquarters to leave the combat zone of Vietnam. In late 1971 and early 1972, the Screamin' Eagles subordinate units left Vietnam and returned to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. In 1974, the Army terminated jump status for the division, and the Screamin' Eagles formally became America's Air Assault Division. The Screamin' Eagles took on their current designation of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. Today, the Screamin' Eagle shoulder patch is arguably the most recognizable unit insignia in the United States military. That's because the soldiers who wear the patch live up to the division's motto, "Rendezvous with Destiny." If you'd like to read about the 101st Airborne Division in the Vietnam War, I would definitely recommend Ripcord, Screamin' Eagles Under Siege in Vietnam, 1970 by Keith Nolan. It's the story of the NVA's siege of the Hilltop Fire Base over a 4-month period. I read this book several years ago, and I still remember the description of close quarters combat. An Amazon link to Ripcord is in the description below. If you enjoyed this History Behind the Patch video, I hope you'll hit the like button or leave us a comment. Especially if you're a veteran of the Screaming Eagles during Vietnam, tell us about your service in the comments. Swing by the channel to find more History Behind the Patch videos, and please subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos and help us build our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.